Welcome to beautiful Portland, Oregon. I'm headed northbound on Interstate Avenue, and I thought I would take some time to film the homeless encampments along this roadway. You'll notice that there's tarps on everything. Well, it rains a lot in this region. Even though this summer has been a long, hot, dry summer, that is actually not unusual. Every few years in the Portland, Oregon area, we get hot, dry summers, but most of the time it rains year-round. There was one summer where it was gray until August, and then there was another summer where it only got above 80 degrees a couple of times. It's cyclical, the weather is cyclical here, but generally it rains a lot. About 3 weeks ago or so, we had a 116 degree day. And that was pretty miserable. I did not go out into it, but I understand that it was a bit windy, and the wind felt like you were in a convection oven. Even though you have a breeze on hot days, when it gets over 100, the breeze just doesn't do anything for you. So I thought I'd talk a little bit about how homeless people got into this situation in the first place. What you're looking at is the federal government decided to transfer the responsibility of the mentally ill to the states. So this right here is how the state of Oregon has chosen to treat its mentally ill. A lot of money is poured into the mentally ill and the homeless, and this is what they get. So basically, these are the weakest members of our society, and we kick them in the teeth. It's just sad how these people are forced to live. They have mental health problems, serious mental health problems, and before the late 90s, we used to house them in mental health institutions or psychiatric hospitals. In the early 90s, I was a student nurse, and I did a rotation through the closest psychiatric hospital to Portland, Oregon. It was called daM, and people were treated very well at daM. Believe it or not, even though the place was not up to date, it needed new paint, it could use a little bit of modernizing, people were treated very, very well. And I think that the move to transfer the responsibility from the federal government to the states was based on a news story by Geraldo Rivera, I believe, and he talked about how people in mental health institutions were abused. Now, I can't speak for all mental health institutions. I can only speak from my personal experience, and these people were given 3 squares, they had activities, they were given medication, and they had a discharge plan. They were not locked in there permanently. The doctors and psychiatrists and nurses and therapists and all that, they worked toward discharging these people and helping them to live a functional life. Look at that car. Does that look like Mad Max to you? They helped them to live a functional life. And I remember one physician saying that one of the patients, clients or residents, whatever you want to call them, not residents, patients, that when they discharged him, he would go right back to living under the Burnside Bridge. And they did not have any judgment toward that. They said that is how he chooses to live, and they're not going to argue with it. They allowed people to have choices. When I was at daM, I witnessed people really struggled. Mental health is a horrible thing. And I saw a lot of people who struggled with schizoaffective disorder. And the medications that they were on to quiet these demons inside of them, it made them feel really sick. So it was difficult. But anyway, a lot of money is poured into these people, into the mentally ill, into the homeless, and they live in filth. Look at this. They live in absolute filth. Where does all this money go to? Well, I speculate that the city governments are giving money to programs that help the mentally ill that are overpriced and just don't really offer that much of a service to these people. Now, I know in the wintertime, Portland has warming centers. There have been winters where it's been below 0 degrees out here, below freezing, and they will hire people to go around and collect the homeless and take them to warming shelters. Gosh, I don't even know, probably like 5, 6, 7 years ago, I was in downtown Southwest Portland, and it was 0 degrees outside or close to it, and there was a homeless guy who was taking his clothes off. And I was just about to call 911 because you know what, when people start acting weird like that means that they're hypothermic. And some fella showed up, and he was able to assist this person because he was out looking for people to take to warming shelters. And you know, this, believe it or not, you know, and these people are mentally ill. They have burned all their bridges in their life. They can't get along with their family. They've alienated their family. That's why they live like this. And that's what happens when people are mentally ill. They don't know how to function in a family. They don't know how to function in society. And anyway, so in the warming shelters, if people don't follow the rules, they get kicked out. And a lot of people can't get help in mental health programs if they continue to use drugs and alcohol. And I used to work in inpatient drug and alcohol rehab, and to tell somebody that they have to go cold turkey on their drugs or their alcohol or even their smoking, that's just unrealistic. Because the detox from alcohol, especially if they're heavy drinkers, and the detox from drugs, it's horrible. It's a very miserable situation. So, this is just so sad to see. Again, this is how the state of Oregon has chosen to treat its mentally ill. Thank you so much for watching.